Welcome back to the PHLY Eagles Show. Bo Wolf and EJ Smith with Mina Kimes of ESPN and the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. Mina, good to see you. Happy holidays.
Hello. Happy holidays.
So festive as we are here, coming off two resounding wins for the Eagles against the best of the best. How are you feeling about the Eagles vis-a-vis the rest of the NFC as we sort of peer towards the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Raiders gave the Texans kind of a hard time this week.
True.
The
At least they have their
Commanders'
quarterback,
defense. That's true. The Commanders are a tough watch this year. I think the thing that probably encourages me the most from the last 2 weeks is not the actual results, because as you alluded to, the competition is so bad. But just the continued experimentation on offense has been good. And that goes beyond 2 weeks. I think that's been about 3 or 4 weeks now, really, where you're starting to see new wrinkles. You're starting to see them move away from stuff that's not working, lean into stuff that is working. That's what you do when you play bad teams, right? I mean, you want to beat them down, and the Eagles did, and that's a good sign. But you also want to use that time to prepare for the stretch run, the playoffs. And I think that the Eagles have done just that.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this, Mina, because this has been a point of contention on this show, and I think just from Eagles fans in general, whether or not this is going to stick. This time last week we were talking about under center a lot. Is this something that they can lean into? Obviously, against the Commanders, they used a lot of empty sets, and they had a lot of success with that. What do you think sticks from this stretch? Against bad defenses where they can sort of try things and maybe find an identity. What do you think will actually matter once the postseason comes around?
Well, I think the empty stuff is really, really important. And frankly, it's kind of puzzling now in retrospect that the Eagles didn't lean into it more often. Jalen Hurts, it's always been such a great part of his game, scrambling, and particularly because, and even this is, I think, been true his entire career, he is a quarterback who's been better running north-south than east-west.
No doubt.
And it's when you see him scrambling out of, and obviously that also, it's assisted by the way defenses play you when you're in empty, but, the zone reads are just so ineffective, right? Like, I can't, don't do it. So, and I think they're seeing how good he is scrambling out of empty, but also throwing out of empty too. That's something they're going to continue building on. It's a really important change up for this offense, especially when they're playing tempo, which is another thing I think they're good in. So that's something I think sticking. The under center run game continues to be, I think, an evolution. Obviously, you had success with it against Washington, but that comes with a grain of salt. I think this week is a good test because the Bills' run defense against under center runs is very bad. Very bad. So there's going to be another opportunity here to show that you're continuing to get better running the football out of those looks. And honestly, it's probably going to be a pretty big determinant of whether or not they win this game.
Yeah, I think the belief in the passing game is, as it has always been, sort of talent driven, right? Like, we're not going to get to see all of these fancy schemes, but if Jalen is scrambling more, like he did in this game, I think his most first down scrambling since week 4. That was nice to see him open that up. You believe that AJ and Devontae can get stuff done. How do you feel about the running game, Mina, and not just from under center? I mean, we saw Saquon bust probably his best run of the season to go along with that really nice, powerful touchdown run. If they get Lane Johnson back, as we expect, for the playoffs, do you feel like they can flip something of a switch with the running game?
Lane back will help a lot. I think it's going to really depend on the opponent, think that the NFC, let's say it's so up in the air right now, but if you're to play like the San Francisco 49ers, I think
probably the most likely thing right now would be San Francisco.
Assuming Seattle wins in week 18, which is going to be a really fun game. So then you're looking at a 3-6, right? So yeah, that you should absolutely be able to run the ball on San Francisco. I know that, they had they did a decent job against Jonathan Taylor last night, but that Colts offense is pretty defanged, right? Throwing downfield. So the San Francisco run defense is dead last in success rate against the run. It's been an issue for them with all of their injuries all year long, but especially not all year long, actually, as the year has gone by. So to me, it's really about matchups for Philadelphia. That's one, I think you'd be famous last words because the San Francisco 49ers offense is so good. But I think your offense versus their defense is a matchup where you feel good about running.
Yeah, I said this on the morning show. Like, I'm not particularly worried about the 49ers. But this is a good segue.
Because you believe in the Eagles defense?
Yeah, I think I think the Eagles defense can make that into a slugfest. But this is perfect because I want to hear what Mina has to what Mina thinks about the Seahawks and Eagles as a potential playoff matchup. I kind of feel like that game would be 13-9, and it's just a matter of who scores 13. But maybe you've got more belief in the Seahawks offense, and as we call him on this show, KK.
Oof.
Yes, you call him KK. Okay, so let me think through this one. If it did end up being Seattle versus
Probably
Philadelphia.
in Seattle, you would think?
Well, unless Seattle loses that. But yes.
Yeah. So I do like the Seahawks defense against you guys in that matchup.
Yeah,
I think
so.
the style that they play, and there's some similarities between the two, but I think they would, especially the types of coverages and blitz pressures that they run are things that have given this Eagles offense difficulty. This is also, I talked about San Francisco and had the 32nd success rate against the run. Without looking, Seattle's probably top 3, right? So that's very, very good run defense. But on the other side of the ball, I also think that the Eagles defense would give Sam Darnold a lot of pressures, little slip there, trouble. So yeah, I think that one would be I think low scoring would be the name of the game there. That would be a hard one to pick, honestly. And that's kind of true, by the way, of every Eagles game, because the defense is really good. And I think with the Eagles defense, you don't want to go, and this is unfortunately the case this weekend, is against a really good rushing team. I think that's probably, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're facing, it's not really the NFC. The Rams run the ball really well. The Rams, that would be a little bit more concerning for me.
Well, before we get to this Bills matchup, I have another sort of Seahawks tinged question for you, and that is the Pro Bowl rosters, which we don't want to give too much credence to. But the one guy who we have sort of highlighted as probably deserved it, especially in relation to his teammate Jalen Carter, who has missed so much time, is Jordan Davis. And he leads the NFL in tackles against the run. It's a very high percentage of snaps that he's on the field that he's making a run tackle. And if you compare that type of season to the best run stuffing seasons of the past decade or so, I mean, his 4.5 sacks are the most of those guys. So he's combining those two things. But there's also, Byron Murphy, who didn't make the team, and Leonard Williams, who does make the team. How do you feel about Jordan Davis standing out among the crowd of NFC defensive tackles?
Yeah, I'm looking to see who's.
So Leonard Williams, Quinnen Williams, and someone else, and Jalen Carter are the 3 who made it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would not have taken him over Leonard Williams. I would have taken him over Quinnen Williams.
Okay.
That's, people might be listening. Well, Sony Williams is. I don't think that's a homer take. Leonard Williams, for those who, if you guys watch the Seattle defense, I think he's the straw that stirs the drink. And you could argue Jordan Davis is the same, but, the Seattle defense is so good at getting pressure with 4, and they line up Leonard Williams everywhere. He's so disruptive. You saw that, I think, against the Rams on in the fourth quarter when the Seahawks pass rush really came alive. He was so impactful, almost getting to Stafford. He's been really, really good. He's been really, really good his entire tenure in Seattle, but that to me strikes me as fair. Quinnen's been a lot better against the run as a pass rusher. He's come alive a little bit in Dallas, but obviously not enough to help that defense. And I think Jordan Davis has been probably more impactful.
I think the case you can make against him, which would be fair, is that he is playing way more snaps than he ever has, but he's still only playing 65% of the snaps, whereas some of these guys are playing a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
All right, let's close out, Mina, with how you break down this Bills matchup here, and what do you think are the most interesting parts of this matchup, because it seems good on good and mediocre on mediocre.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I'm previewing this game with Solek, so people go check it out. The podcast is going to drop later today on the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. You can check it out on YouTube. And I was looking at it from the Bills standpoint. He's looking at it from the Eagles standpoint. Okay. And one of my notes was, this is actually kind of about Philadelphia in a lot of ways. Is Vic Fangio going to stick with the light boxes against Buffalo? It's just Eagles know, you guys fans, he play with the most light boxes of any defense in the league. And it's a big part of why the Eagles don't have the greatest efficiency metrics against the run. A lot of it is structural, right? But the problem is that's exactly how the Bills want to live. They're like, great, cool. We'll take 5 yards a clip and go down the field, and then our quarterback will get it done in the red zone. And it was interesting. I was looking back and I was like, has Vic changed that up against opponents? And I was looking at run heavy teams, Chicago, Detroit, although that's less so. And no, it's just light boxes, light boxes, light boxes.
And Chicago was the one where it really, really hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right approach against this Bills team because the pass catchers are not great. You want to dare them. You want them to try to beat you, throwing to Khalil Shakir downfield or what famous last words. So that's something I'm interested. The other thing that jumped out to me from the Bills' perspective, FTN does run, they track run types, which is really useful for people who are looking for that. And the Eagles' defense has been much better against duo than outside zone this year, which kind of like a Jordan Davis stat, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of those types of runs from James Cook because he's very good outside zone running back.
All right. Good stuff. I mean, you have the in-laws coming in. What do you expect to be the first Eagles-related words out of
the vibes are good now? So I don't. Yeah, I'm actually, the timing could not have been better. I think she's gonna be in a good mood. I don't know. I'll have
just
to
don't bring up
back.
Jake Elliott. That's the one thing. We went from talking about benching the quarterback to benching the kicker.
That's true.
Very symbolic.
It's funny, right? Because on one hand, it's like we shouldn't kick anymore, but on the other hand, the tush push doesn't quite work.
They are in their heads about the tush push. They've got to just throw it away for the season, I think. But
yeah, it's not working. It's funny because Josh Allen, they might
exactly
on you guys sassily. Yes. Before I go, what would you guys do? Would you ease up on the light boxes? I've been thinking through this all morning.
So I think that there's a case to be made for it. Now, I wonder how the absence of Nakobe Dean expected will affect this, because it could just mean having Jahad Campbell be more of an overhang player, and that's how you have a little bit more of a just presented heavy box. And then no Jalen Carter means that they don't usually lean into those 3 defensive tackle formations as much.
Yeah, I just think whatever we saw against the Bears, like whatever they do, they can't have Reed Blankenship as manipulated by motions as he was in that game. So I think that's going to be.
What are you going to do? Have Byron Young on the field more? Like that's not what.
Yeah,
going to do, right?
their best. There was a point in this season where I felt like their best defense was out of base. It's definitely not the case anymore.
Unless you want more Brandon Graham and you're playing him, Morrow, and Jordan Davis together. But I like
BG as like a NASCAR package 3-tech, not like a constant run stuffer in there.
He's every down player at this point. Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right, well
we'll figure it out.
Tough one for Vic. Yeah,
and we will listen to the extended conversation about it with Ben on the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. Thank you so much, Mina. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Mina.
Bye, guys.